take projection.
Welcome everybody to Taking on Sports. I am TD. That is Greg. Greg, how you doing, man?
Man, I am pretty good. And last night made for first part of the week was tough for me for non-sports reasons anyway. But man, beautiful last night.
Yeah.
Beautiful, absolutely
N-
beautiful.
nice soothing night. Nice to take it
Man,
easy. Always
yeah,
good to beat down LSU, especially in Baton Rouge. And a
and
fun
just the
fact.
way it was done.
Oh, a fun fact too. Alabama has more wins against LSU in Baton Rouge than
Than they have
LSU
in the
does against
series.
Bama. Yeah,
Oh yeah, I saw that.
it
I was
is.
like, wow,
That's
that's amazing. I
that's
mean,
a
as much
beast.
hype as that place gets for night.
Mm-hmm. And
I mean, it's a
that's
great
like
atmosphere. It's a great
it is, no
atmosphere,
doubt.
but I
I'd love
mean,
to see a
this
game
stuff.
there. Yeah, I've never seen a game there, but they get hyped. They're great tailgaters, all that good food.
Yeah.
But every time someone brings that
Something we
up,
have
as a Bama fan, I just shrug my shoulders. I'm like, ass overrated.
every time, every time, every time. It's so funny.
Mm-hmm.
And somebody, so I saw somewhere it's pretty funny. They said the people throwing the water bottles on the field have better arms than us.
Oh man,
Oh, that's good
but
stuff. Good
yeah, it was
stuff.
a
But
excellent
I mean,
execution all around.
yes,
Great game
just
plan.
all around.
Uh,
As much as this coaching staff has been destroyed all season, I mean,
mhm,
coming off a bye week, and we talked about after the Georgia game, they had a perfect game plan coming in, and it fell off
mhm,
in the second half. The game plan did not fall off at all this game. I mean, they came out on
mhm.
fire on all offense, defense. Everybody was on fire, and they just had energy the whole game. I mean, even on the last drive when they gave up the touchdown, I mean, they were blitzing the shit out of them. I mean, it
Yeah,
was.
which I don't know if you caught that little clip, but Brian
Oh,
Kelly was
Brian was
bitching to the
crying.
referees about it.
Yes.
Man, that is our third string in there.
Yeah,
We got
chill
the
out, bro.
backups in there. You still got the starters in. So
You got
what's
your
up?
starters. It should be
Mhm.
easy. Stop
Yeah,
this
right.
nonsense. I didn't, dude. He's
Uh,
the biggest crybaby. But
I can't
he has
stand him.
a. He It's so funny. Like every week, he has a little thing on Paul Feinbaum on Mondays. I might have to check out tomorrow just to see what he says. He's such a crybaby.
But
But
yeah,
man,
we talked about it last week. We knew the weakness of the LSU defense was the running
and,
game, and especially
and
running
we.
quarterbacks.
Oof,
And DeBoer and Sheridan and staff, they handed the ball to Jalen. And the funny part is they ran that same that little that QB lead almost with the running backs out of the
yeah,
shotgun, that little draw, the running back leading the way, and Jalen just all night. And tell you what, he
just
looks
took it.
healthy again.
He looks
There's no way you
healthy.
can tell me he
No, there
wasn't
was
hurt
something
in
off on that.
October. Yeah.
Something was going on. We talked about it.
Hmm.
Something was off in Knoxville.
Hmm.
Something was off against South Carolina. He
Hmm.
looked a little bit
Against,
better against Missouri, but he was still a
yeah,
little. He
you
was a
can
little
still see he
timid
was a little
running.
slow. Yeah.
Yeah, but that bye week did magic.
Hmm.
His his full everything's back with him. I mean that was about as perfect. And yeah, I mean it wasn't anything fancy, but they knew what they had to do to beat LSU. They ran it.
Hmm.
Everything was run
But
perfectly.
sometimes there is beauty in
Just it was
simplicity.
just a beautiful
Yeah.
game plan, and it just kept working and working. So why get away from it? And they
Exactly.
do.
Yeah. Yeah. There's beautiful. There's beauty in simplicity, and
Yeah,
if you know that you can just run, and they're not going to stop it, then do it. I mean, literally, the
yeah,
only thing that went wrong
exactly.
was that one deep pass. Ryan Williams just
Oh,
couldn't make that dive and catch. If he did
and
that, that'd
then
just been another spectacular.
I did it right. And I mean, I think that was more the ball than anything. That was ball
Hmm.
was it was raining.
It's
And then that the other one, that Emmanuel Henderson touchdown. Oh, he was so
mm,
open. We overthrew
oh
him,
yeah,
but he was getting blitzed, but he threw
just yeah,
way
just
over.
but
But
yeah,
yeah,
and then
but
the and
outside of
then
those two plays, I mean, it was it was just
perfect on
beautiful.
offense, perfect. Yeah,
Yes.
uh, and then
And I,
defensively,
whoa, defense got after it.
that swarm they swarmed them and they got
Yeah,
after it. They made us uncomfortable all night. They were
yeah,
showing them different looks pre-snap, and they had
exactly.
no idea what to look for. They could not
Right.
adjust for it. They just it's one of the best ass whoopings I've seen in a while. And
Man, it
if
was
you,
epic in all proportions. I mean, and then too, like the defense, because they say the swarm works and everybody's doing their job, and then obviously
mm-hmm,
everybody was doing their job. The other thing I really liked is that young secondary is growing up a lot.
mm-hmm,
They
yep,
from what we saw, even first part of October to now, I mean, they're holding their own. They're doing their thing. And the honest, I mean, it's not like they're playing bums yesterday. They're playing an LSU
no.
team that's been putting up points, yards on everybody. I mean, they
Nussmeyer
have
actually has better stats than Jaden Daniels did at this point
yes,
last year, at least in terms of like passing stats.
yes.
Right.
I mean, and they have some very talented wide receivers. So it's not
Mm-hmm.
like we're playing. It wasn't like Missouri where they
No,
had people
yeah.
hurt and stuff. They had all the wide receivers. Everybody's as healthy as you could be in November. I mean, and
Well,
we just shut
You
down
saw
everything.
you saw it on their garbage time touchdown there at
Yeah,
the end. That was a great back shoulder throw, great catch. That's the kind of arm talent that Nussmeyer has.
right.
He can sling it and he can put it like on the dime
Yeah.
somewhere. And the coverage was great, the pressure was great. Like it
Hmm.
was all around. Just
Yeah.
give the
I
flowers to
mean,
the staff and
man,
the
it's
players. And like you
beautiful.
said, it's we knew it would take time. We knew we had a young secondary coming in that
Right.
they would have to mature on the field,
Yeah.
and we knew the coaching staff would have to adjust to the SEC. We knew the
Exactly.
players would have to adjust to the new coaching staff, and that looks like that's finally
Yeah.
happening. We saw it in the Missouri game, and now with this bye week, it really
And,
looks like they've
and
taken a
honestly, we
big
saw a
step
good
forward.
defense. We saw a great defense in the first half against Tennessee as well.
Yeah, yeah,
We
exactly.
didn't take
Three first,
advantage
we
of
just
it.
yeah, and we talked about that then. If
Yeah.
we had three, if we just got three field goals off those three turnovers, Alabama would have
Yeah.
won that game. But and
And
speaking of, not to besmirch the kid, what's the kicker's name, Nicholson, whatever his name is. But come on, man, Will Reichert should have got that Groves Award last year. Let's be honest. Uh,
dude, I was gonna mention something about him. I mean, and like he only had the one field goal, and but he missed the heck out of it.
mm.
like, like that was terrible.
Yeah,
Like
I mean,
I,
we'll maybe give
and,
him half a pass because of the rain, but
right, but this dude, I thought was gonna be legit. Now, obviously, he hasn't kicked many times, but anytime he's been out there, have not really been impressed at all.
no,
There's
yeah,
nothing that
with with Riker, you had that confidence.
exactly.
It was almost Justin Tucker like.
Yeah,
That you're like, all right, he gonna make it.
yeah. This
Like here
dude, I
comes
don't
three
know.
points.
He's only had a few, but
Mm-hmm.
damn, it's been
But yeah,
wild.
you want him to make. Yeah, we need him to make a big kick or a clutch kick to really kind of
And I
get that
don't know if he
confidence.
has it
Yeah,
in him.
it's
I don't know. I
so that's a
mean,
little
obviously
worrisome.
he is good. I mean, he was good enough last year, but this year he's been shaky. He's had a couple misses. I'm like, wow.
But yeah,
I
yeah,
don't know.
it's funny. You think we could talk longer, but there's, I mean, what else can you really say? It was just
I
a
mean, it
ass
was
whooping.
just
It
a
was
beautiful
beautiful.
game.
Mm-hmm.
I did one thing I did like. I like how they got Jam Miller involved in the receiving game yesterday. They
Mm-hmm.
went out their way to make sure he got. I mean, he had some explosive plays there. So I mean, if you're not running as much with the backs, obviously
Mm-hmm.
Jam Miller can catch well out the backfield. So why not get him involved there? I thought that was a good job with that. I guess the only downfall of the whole game was that we lost. What's the name for the rest of the season? I can't even think of his name right now. On the
Oh, I'm gonna miss that. Uh,
yeah, he got hurt last night. The upper arm. Q Robinson. We lost him for the rest of the season.
ah, damn, I
That's
didn't
a
see
that's a
that. Man.
loss. Yeah.
Yeah, that's not a good
Now
one.
one dude that I very was very impressed with, but before we move on to other things, because yeah, like I said, not much to talk about here, dude. I would since he's coming to his own there, um, man, Bray Hubbard.
Mm,
Since
mm-hmm.
Keon Saab's out and he's kind of stepped into that spot, Man,
Yeah.
he's a wow. Yeah, he hits hard, plays hard. Man, I really like him. So
No,
I'm
yeah. You're
excited to
starting
see
to
what
see
he
it.
turns into.
Yeah, a lot of these young guys really stepping up on
Yeah.
defense, and you'd love to see it. I'll close with this tweet of the week. James Burnup, our punter, tweeted, "Just happy they let me punt a couple times." Uh,
That's
and
funny.
that pretty much sums it up.
Exactly.
But yeah, beautiful nightcap for Tide fans.
Whew.
And during the day, there was a little bit of chaos going on.
Man,
We
was it?
talked about Wood Lane. Could he finally get that first big win in Oxford at Ole Miss?
Man.
They've been close. They've been great, 10-win seasons, but they just
Yeah.
can't knock off the big boys. We talked about last week how Georgia's turnover problems. Maybe this is the time. And early on, it looked like maybe not. Georgia kind of scored right away. They got that early pick, and they
Big.
turned it
Yeah.
into a touchdown early. And I was like, oh
Yeah.
no, here we go
Oh.
again.
Yeah.
That was the only touchdown they scored all game.
Yeah.
Uh, Ole Miss came through. Their defense did a hell of a
Their
job,
defense
28 to
was.
10. Uh, yeah,
Yeah.
more
Their
turnover
defense.
problems for Georgia.
Yeah. It's crazy. Yeah. I don't know what's going on. I mean, he only had one pick yesterday, but
Mhm.
yeah, no,
Two
definitely
more
not a good
fumbles.
game.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
Mm-mm.
yeah. Just And clearly, I mean, there's talent at Georgia, but I mean, it's different. There's not there's no wide receiver that can he doesn't feel comfortable with his wide receivers. You could tell that. And
Yeah,
then
something.
and we're in November now, so I mean that's just who they are at this point.
Mm-hmm.
And Ole Miss, I mean, they that defense was nasty yesterday. I mean, to hold Georgia to 10 points at any time, even with their defense, with their offensive woes, I mean, it's still amazing. And
Yeah.
I missed that on the bets column, but I happily missed this one because I thought, until Lane does it, I'm not giving him the benefit of the doubt because
Mm-hmm.
there's been so many other times we thought, man, this is his time. Whether for us we never saw it, but many people thought he's going to catch Nick at some point. Never happened. The
Mm-hmm.
game last year against Georgia got absolutely housed in Athens. Um, and so yeah, you start looking and yeah, but man, you know, and the other thing big too is not only was it big because of the big opponent, but your playoff season is on the line
Yeah.
against number 3 in the country, and you housed them.
And
I
I'll
mean
tell you
that's
what, speaking of playoffs too, this loss now gives Georgia two losses in conference to Alabama and Ole Miss. And if you look at
yeah,
the SEC standings, that means they do not have the tiebreaker over either of them. Not that it might
no,
not matter in terms of the SEC race,
right,
but if you
the
start looking
playoff,
at large bids for the playoff and
yeah,
if the Big Ten gets in a few teams, if
yeah,
maybe if there's two group of five teams somehow, maybe or if there's just a
it's
deciding spot where you
wild out
have
there.
two spots for three teams, and those three teams are Alabama, Ole Miss, and Georgia.
Yeah,
How can you put Georgia over the two teams they lost to?
you can.
Uh, so that's something to worry about if you're a dog
Yeah.
fan right now. And they don't
And
really have time to worry because they could turn
no,
around and they host Tennessee next week.
Tennessee. Now the only
Um,
thing good for them is it's in Athens.
Yeah. And Nico got hurt in that first half, did not
He
come back
did.
the
Did
game.
not
They
come
did
back.
say that it was just a precautionary thing
Right.
as they expect him to be
But
healthy.
yikes.
But
You never
the
know.
bigger well, yeah, but the bigger problem is that turnover machine that is the Georgia offense going against that
Oh,
really, really good Tennessee
yeah.
defense, man. Uh, even at home, they
Yeah.
gotta fix it. Or else that's
That might be troublesome for them again.
mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, because I mean, it's amazing how many turnovers they've had this year. It's been very sloppy.
Is it?
Very.
And that's what's it like? 12 interceptions in the past
Yeah.
5 games now, six
Dude,
games. Like it's
yeah, it's wild. And
it's
it's just amazing that they even were able to go into Austin and win with all those turnovers that they had.
mm-hmm,
Um, Yeah, they had to do all the turnovers against Florida. Now Florida, like we talked about last week, KJ plays. Maybe they lose last week. I mean, Florida was running with them from
mm-hmm.
from. So I mean, something clearly is off this season at Georgia. I mean, yeah, the playoffs seems pretty unlikely unless a lot of craziness happens. Um, but yeah, I mean, we of course still have November is gonna be wild because this whole season has been wild. Every week is something, and once
Mm-hmm.
again, most of this schedule didn't look that great. You know,
Mm-mm.
outside of the Alabama, LSU, and the Ole Miss, Georgia. I mean, the rest of the schedule is kind of blah blah. But yeah, we
Mm-hmm.
saw a lot of chaos.
Yeah, Blaine through the Alabama Take Account, asked us on, I believe it was Threads, he said, is there a reason for all this chaos this year that's so hard to predict or anything? I think Mallory might have went 2-2 in the bets column this week, but all of us, the rest of us had horrible weeks.
I
Um,
went 0-3 the
oh,
college,
yeah.
and I
I was
got
about to
to
say,
Monday
yeah, I
Night
went 0
Football
3 in the
tomorrow.
college. I think, yeah, I had the Bills today, so I got that. So at least got one win on the weekend. But yeah, not a
And
good day.
you know, a lot of it, of course, is just some of it's NIL, some of it's a
Mm-hmm.
transfer portal,
Mm-hmm.
and some of it, I just think that these younger folks. I mean, of course, there's going to be some separation. You know, Alabama, Ohio State, Georgia going to get some of the talent, but I don't think there's much brand recognition, or that's not what they're so much worried about
Mm-hmm.
anymore. They want to play, and they're going to go where they can get their best NIL, their best options to play, or they're looking out more for themselves, which is fine with me. But
Mm-hmm.
along with that, you know, it spreads out the talent more. And
Yeah.
so, even though the big dogs are still going to get the best, they're not going to get all the best, which is then leaves and that second tier of great players that maybe not coming to Alabama, Ohio State, Georgia anymore. Is still a hell of a talented bunch. So,
Mm-hmm.
you get your, Ole Miss, you get your, Tennessee, and then you look around, people, you know, um, and then there's people that want to be trailblazers. People if Kirk Cinetti keeps the winning at
Mm-hmm.
Indiana, I don't know how long he's going to be there, but they're going to be like, why not go there? That's pretty cool that we can win. And that's the other thing too. If you can see yourself winning at Indiana, you don't necessarily have to go to Alabama. So I think it's just a lot of different things that factor into it, and it just makes it maybe frustrating at times for the fans that have come used to certain things, but for just your average fan, it's very a lot of fun.
Yeah. No, I think you nailed it. And that's pretty much what I said, in very short sentences. But I think, yeah, we're finally seeing the parity effects from
Hmm.
NIL and the transfer portal take place. And like you said, I
Yeah,
think recruiting's a little more spread out these days. You
yeah,
don't have like a monster like Nick Saban eating up all these
right,
recruits, and you still obviously got great, Kirby's a great recruiter. You got
yeah,
programs like that, but
yeah,
and then the other thing I said too is I think there's a lot more really good coaches out there now. Um,
yeah,
I think maybe like 5-10 years ago there were obviously good coaches out there, but there weren't as many.
right,
A lot of times we would see a Saban assistant or a Dabo assistant or somebody like that go out there on
hmm,
their own, and they would just kind of flame out as a head
right,
coach. And now I think a lot of these guys are actually they're becoming really good
winning,
coaches. Yeah,
yeah,
they're winning and they're becoming good coaches. And there's a lot. There's
yeah,
the talent pool for coaches is a lot deeper now, and I think that's another reason that we're seeing a lot of these programs
yeah,
pump up, and a lot of these teams able to get wins. And we'll go right into the other big upset today. Number 4 Miami goes down.
wow,
Another great coaching hire in Brent Key there at Georgia
yeah,
Tech, and
exactly,
they just ran all over them. What was it, like 270 some yards on the
right,
ground? They only threw the ball 16 times.
yeah,
Uh,
but
they just dominated Miami, honestly,
yeah,
and that pass rush got to them. And, Miami did their thing; they almost came back, but
right, too
uh,
much,
yeah, we talked about Georgia's turnover problems were going to bite them in the ass, and they did. And Miami has a problem getting down double digits, and
yep.
it finally
Too
hurt
much
them.
this
And
time. You kept
yeah,
on thinking, oh, they're gonna do it. Um,
hmm
Other thing too. Haynes King coming back for Georgia Tech was huge for him because he's a hell of a
Warrior.
runner.
Yeah, hell yeah. He just played Tim Tebow late game yesterday,
Yeah.
just smash mouth. And
20
that
rushes,
kid,
93 yards, touchdown. I mean, so clearly, you wonder, their 6-4 record right now. If Haynes King plays some more of those games, they
yeah,
probably have a much better record than, they may
yes,
even be still in that ACC talk, which is a wild conference in itself. And
yeah. We'll
um,
get to that in a minute. I got a section laid out for
yeah, but
standing talk a little later, but
watching,
yeah.
looking up at this TV, man, these quarterbacks tonight throwing
Ooh,
interception after interception.
that's
They're up to
this is about
6
the.
interceptions.
Is that like the third? Yeah, I was gonna say that's been 3 interceptions in the past three
See,
drives now, right?
yeah, yeah, just
Uh,
pick after pick. No one's seeing
yeah,
anything. Jeez.
but yeah. This will now make a second straight bowl appearance for Georgia Tech. Now they're
Yeah,
eligible again.
six and
So Brent
four.
Key, man, they got it
Hell of a
right with
time.
him, man. He's
Oh,
building it, and
obviously, because
uh,
that's a tough program to win at.
yeah,
It's
it's one of those the academic restrictions, but you're
yeah,
in such. It's like Tulane, where you're in such a
yeah,
great talent bed for football. Or we talked about with like somewhere like Houston, where you might have academic restrictions that make it a little tougher, but there's just so much talent there that you can find smart guys play football too. Uh,
right. You just have to get the right coach in there that can
mhm.
take advantage of that,
Yeah,
and understand that you can still succeed with those restrictions. And seems like they got the right guy in there. I mean, two. And the most, and then on the other side, man, Miami boy, Georgia Tech, he killed him last year with that fumble, and
yeah.
then now this, it's like, geez, oh man, but
Yeah, and you mentioned it, Jordan. They got NC State. They get a bye next week. The Yellow Jackets do, and they get an NC State
yeah,
home game on a Thursday night, and then they go to Athens. And
yeah,
is that actually
who
going to be a game
knows?
this year? That it
It
was
could
close on
be. It
last
was
year,
last year,
Yeah.
and Georgia was a much better team last year.
Mm-hmm. Much
They gave
better.
them
So
was it like a touchdown game last week? So I'm who knows how that goes. And if they, especially, if Georgia loses to Tennessee, at that point, and that's the thing, these players, it's all about the playoffs. So once you're out of that playoff, mentally
yeah.
things change for a lot of people. So, especially if you were supposed to be the big dog and then you're not in it, yeah, I mean, that's one the Georgia Tech, might be another loss depending on, what happens going
Mm-hmm.
into that game, for sure.
But yeah, so that's 3 and 4 go down.
Mm,
Just big happenings here. We'll see what happens with that Tuesday. But elsewhere, Indiana, 10 Indiana now. Man,
10 and
just
0.
keep going. 10-0. First time in school history they've won 10 games.
That's amazing.
Um, if Kurt Signetti is not the unanimous coach of the year, then something
Like,
is wrong.
nobody
Uh,
else should really be even on that list. Like
no,
it's
no. And there are other guys doing great jobs out there, but
yeah,
no,
absolutely.
nobody should even
No,
be
no.
in contention. You shouldn't even think about anybody else. I don't care what
Not
if they can lose their next 2 games. I don't care.
yeah,
Like
exactly. And the thing is too though, I mean if he had if he had went 7-5 this year, he'd probably still be in that talk because that'd been a hell of a job going to Indiana, getting to a bowl game in year one after how bad it was last year and such.
mm-hmm,
But the fact that they're 10-0, and yeah, they it was a little tougher against Michigan, but Michigan's still a prideful program, and so you
mm-hmm.
knew that they were gonna, they didn't let it get out of hand there. Um, but man, that game in 2 weeks is gonna be huge. And really, I mean, I don't know what's gonna happen in Columbus, but main thing I hope for is that even if they do lose, that they hold their own.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to see them get slaughtered or anything like that. For people to be like, see, they finally played somebody, and because
Yeah.
there's still people that are leery about Indiana, and I mean, I'm kind of on that bandwagon of, man, I think they're a great team. I think they have a chance to beat Ohio State. I don't know if they do. It's in Columbus, but I mean, Ohio State is great, but they're not. It's not. They're not.
There
Past
there
Ohio
is
State teams where they're
no.
putting up
We've talked
70
about it all
points.
year. Yeah, there is no elite team this year.
No,
There
so
is
I
no
think.
team that just that far and away better than everyone
Oh,
else. And yeah, Ohio State or excuse me, Indiana is not going to be afraid of Ohio State. They
No,
don't care
they're
that it's
gonna.
the horseshoe. They don't care how
No,
loud those
they'll
fans
be
get, how
ready to
many of them
go.
there are. Well, this might be
They'll be
another
ready to
interception.
go.
It is another interception in this Lions
Jesus,
Texans
what
game.
is
Oh
going?
man,
Was that 7 on the day? I
this
think
is like
that's
a
like 5 for.
this is like a Madden game between 2 10-year-olds, and they're just running verts and just chucking it up there, man. Uh,
Like, what are they looking at? Like,
that
this is
was
wild. He has
insane.
five,
That was Goff's fifth pick of the night.
fifth pick. Yeah,
Good
this is just
lord.
wild. Like, he's better off handing off to Gibbs right there.
Yeah. Oh man.
Like, wait, not even close.
Nah.
Like, no one's on the same page at all here.
Mm.
Wow,
It's just insane.
wow.
We will say one thing though. A pass that was not an interception tonight. It was a touchdown to John Mechie, his first career touchdown.
Amazing.
After all his
Considering,
after all his trials tribulations, the injury, his like second to last game in
yeah,
college, and having to
cancer
fight leukemia.
diagnosis. Yeah.
Missed his whole rookie season with cancer. Beat that, come
And you
back, and
just
he's finally
never
got
know how
touchdown.
that's gonna go. It's so unpredictable in cancer.
Yeah, yeah,
And yeah, that's just an amazing story.
yeah,
It's great
yeah.
to
And
see.
first play after this interception run. Yeah.
Yeah, keep it
Oof.
on the ground, please.
They
If
are
I'm a
showing the stats now. It is not
God,
pretty for either of these quarterbacks right now.
but Jared Goff 8 of 20, with 5 interceptions. How much that many picks is completions? Wow.
And they're still in the game. It's only a 10-point game.
Yeah, that's the wild
Uh,
part.
but yeah, going back to college here. Yeah, great job, Indiana. BYU, another undefeated team that stayed
My
undefeated. They
goodness.
survived the Holy War late
Wow.
Saturday night.
Wow.
Uh, a
That
controversial call,
they
if you
might they
ask
might
Utah
they
fans.
oh wow, they hold it. Oh, they were pissed. Maybe
Yeah, did
rightfully
you see
so. I don't know.
the Utah
That's
AD
tough.
came out in his press conference and lit into the Big 12 refs, and he'll probably get
Yeah.
fined for it, I imagine. But
Oh,
he made no bones about it. He thought it was a bullshit call, and he
yeah.
basically said that they did it on purpose to keep BYU
Maybe
undefeated.
one, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Who knows? I mean, if you're a Utah
But
fan, absolutely you feel that way.
mhm. But at the same token, it is bullshit. Tough for them, tough way. But at the same token, you had your chance to stop them after that. So and they
Yeah.
didn't. And BYU went down,
Yeah.
got the game-winning field goal, still unbeaten.
Absolutely.
Uh,
Still
Also still
unbeaten.
unbeaten. Army went into Denton in North Texas, and
That's a good win because North
it was a
Texas is
good
a
win.
good team.
They
Right.
are. It was a good team. It was a tough win, like 20-3. They didn't really
Yeah.
super light it up, but a win is a win.
Exactly.
For the Black Knights of the Hudson. Two teams that lost their first games last week, and Iowa State and Pitt lost again. So wheels kind of starting to come off there.
Lost again.
Iowa
Yeah.
State got just wrecked. They were playing Kansas in Arrowhead Stadium, and their defense just
Yeah.
Kansas did whatever they
It
wanted.
was
Man, that was one
horrible.
of I had Iowa State in the column. I saw that they're only laying 3 points. I was like, oh, Iowa State will bounce back. Kansas having a real bad year. That's easy money. And Kansas did
Yeah, this
whatever
is
they
the
wanted to on
Kansas.
offense
This
yesterday.
is the Kansas that this is the Kansas that we saw the last couple years on the offensive side that was missing this
Hmm.
year.
Yeah,
That would be, I guess, better late than never. But damn, the
yeah. It was
main thing with them is Jalen
just
Daniels
absolutely a
has had a lot of
dismantling.
turnovers. He didn't have that yesterday. Yeah,
Hmm.
they were just all over.
No, yeah,
And
a lot of
45
turnovers.
points. And, coming into that game, the
Yeah.
Cyclones had a pretty good, I thought was a pretty good defensive unit there. I mean, they clearly hadn't given up many points all
Hmm.
season. I mean, even in their loss last week, I mean,
No,
uh, yeah, that's just wild.
but eh,
But yeah,
elsewhere around the country, top 25. Just real quick: Oregon, easy win over Maryland. Ohio State, easy win over Purdue.
yeah,
Texas, easy win over Florida. Penn
yeah,
State, easy win over Washington. Tennessee, easy win over Mississippi State.
yeah.
Notre Dame, good Lord, just wrecked Florida
Oh
State.
my God.
Who today Florida State fired their
Fired
offensive
everybody.
coordinator, defensive
Now
coordinator,
wide
and running
receiver.
backs coach, wide receiver coach. Okay.
Yeah.
Um,
Jesus.
yeah.
Just cleaning
Things
house.
things are getting ugly. Ashton Genty, another 200-yard game, even though if it was
It
closer
was a
than
little
they
closer
thought.
than what you meant.
Yeah,
Oh, wow.
that was
Yeah.
another game I lost yesterday. I thought
Uh,
Boise would wreck them, but
yeah.
yeah, we mentioned Pitt went down too. They lost at home to Virginia. Not a good loss.
Not a good
Colorado
loss.
keeps winning. We
Man,
talked
they
about
do.
what a tough one it would be, down 13-0 after the first quarter in Lubbock, and you're
Yeah.
like, oh. And then the rest of the game, 41
Yeah,
points through the next
yeah,
three quarters.
that's the what I missed out there because I thought maybe they would win the game, but I thought in Lubbock, November, we've seen crazy
Hmm
things in Lubbock in November. Their head coach actually has a pretty good record in November games there.
hmm
So the plus 4.5, I thought, well, Tech might be able to hang with that. It looked good for a minute, but yeah, Colorado, I mean, they're just sitting prime. I mean, clearly the second right there. I mean, they control their own destiny for the Big 12 title game,
hmm
and I don't want to see Colorado if I'm BYU, especially on a neutral field.
Yeah. Or
Oh,
yeah, you mentioned it. I don't know if you're hosting one of those
anybody,
first round playoff games. Yeah, I don't know if you want to see Colorado in the playoff either.
because they're going to be confident. They have
Mhm,
nothing to lose. House money. I mean,
mhm.
yeah.
Yeah,
So
if it weren't
and but
for
I mean, they just have to handle business.
yeah, they still got business to take care of.
I mean,
But
the
yeah, if
rest of
if
the
it
games are very manageable. Utah at home, at
hmm
Kansas,
hmm
Oklahoma State, all
yeah,
winnable games. Just matter
all
of can they finish out?
very winnable games. Yeah,
Yeah,
if it weren't for Kirk Cignetti in Indiana, Dion might be up there for Coach of the Year consideration. Certainly, maybe even Big 12. Although Kalani Sitake at BYU deserves all the praise too. But elsewhere, let's see. Washington State, another big win as they improved to 8-1. Clemson got their first win over a team with a winning record as they beat Virginia Tech and Blacksburg. Um, that was another one. 7-0 at halftime. Virginia
hmm
Tech blocked a kick and
it
scored
looks
with it.
like the
But
Utah AD got a $40,000 fine.
yeah, 40,000. Okay, yeah, that'll do it. And then
Yeah, that's not too bad.
Missouri,
But yeah,
nah,
they
Missouri,
that was
Mis-
a good win for.
Clemson, or is that who you're saying? Good
Yeah, I
win for
mean, for
Clemson.
them to come back, yeah, I mean, for them to bounce back, yeah,
Mhm.
yeah, I mean, for them to bounce back like that, I mean, I thought, well, it'll be interesting, see how they bounce back after that tough loss. I mean, they had no business yesterday.
Mhm. Yeah,
Excuse
for
me.
sure. And then
Quarterback got after it.
Missouri, old Big Eight rivalry renewed with Oklahoma, and they
Oof,
wild fourth
yeah,
quarter there. A scoop and score real late, like under a minute left, to take the lead on the Sooners. Oklahoma's just disastrous first season. The SEC continues.
yeah. And
Uh,
really, I think that
they
was their
follow.
last chance for a six.
Mm, yeah, the schedule does them no favors the rest of the way. Um, but yeah, I mentioned that I wanted to talk about our standing, so let's just real quick, just a quick snapshot of where things are at. In the ACC, SMU is now all alone at the top of the standings, 5-0 in conference play. Clemson and Miami both have one loss behind them. The tiebreaker for the ACC, I was looking that up today because they do not play each other. So the next tiebreaker that Miami and Clemson would have would be records over common opponents. And I believe Miami right now holds the advantage on that. So
And
um, Clemson's got a tough one next week. They travel to Pitt to play, a Pitt team that's lost back-to-back games now, but still a dangerous team.
right,
It could be a big one defining who gets to the ACC title game. Big Ten, obviously Indiana and Oregon unbeaten at the top of the standings. They both
hmm
control their destinies. Ohio State and Penn State back there with one loss behind them. Obviously, Ohio State owns that tiebreaker, and obviously in a couple weeks, Ohio State and Indiana will meet, and that probably
so both kind of
decides.
control their own destiny.
Yeah, the winner of that probably gets a ticket to the
Big Ten title
Big Ten
game.
title game. Obviously, Ohio State still is Michigan, but real down year for Michigan.
Right.
Oregon may be a tricky game next week at Wisconsin, night game, but Wisconsin's been so inconsistent this year.
Yeah, I just didn't think they had the athletes for that game.
Mm-mm. And
I mean,
then
they,
they'll play rival Washington in the year, but again, Washington down year this year. So
and that was a pretty good win for Penn State yesterday. They're coming off that
yeah,
tough loss and they
mm,
dominated Washington. So, kudos for James Franklin getting his team back in the mindset after that tough loss. And I'm, of course, not living in Pennsylvania. I mean, I didn't hear too much Penn State stuff, but I'm sure their local people probably lambasted them all week there. I mean, it was enough in
hmm
the national. Can only imagine what their local radio shows and
yeah.
talk was like.
Yeah, talk radio is always just vicious. Big 12, we kind of talked about already. BYU sitting alone at the top of the
uh,
standings. Colorado now alone in second place.
uh,
And then you got that four-team jam behind them: Iowa State, Kansas State, Arizona State, and West Virginia. Surprise win over Cincinnati yesterday.
good win yesterday for them.
A good win for them, and that was my third loss in the bets column. Uh, I knew it was over. Cincinnati was up 7. I tuned into the game. I was like, "Oh, okay," and they were driving, and then their QB made one of the dumbest interceptions I've seen in a long time. He's one of those where he scrambles backwards like 15 yards. He's getting sacked, and he just decides to chuck it up, and it goes right to a West Virginia player's hands for a pick six. And
Mm, that's
after after that, it was all Mountaineers.
yeah,
But that is a log jam. We know Iowa State, Kansas State will play at the end of the year,
all
but
right.
you know, uh, Kansas State does hold the tiebreaker over Colorado, right? They're the only ones that have
Yeah,
beaten the.
I beat them.
But and then I think next week too. I believe. Let's see. I had it. Yeah, Arizona State visits Kansas State, so that'll
I'll,
create some
I'll eliminate
separation
somebody.
in that group right there. Yeah.
Mm,
And then SEC standings, of course. Now we got Tennessee is actually sitting up there.
yeah,
Tennessee and A&M are both 5-1. Of course, we mentioned they got to travel to Athens next week, so we'll
all
see.
right,
They'll know their fate right then. And then behind them at 4-1 are the Longhorns of Texas.
right.
So think, and we obviously know Texas and Texas A&M will play. So
Man, right.
it is just up in the air who's actually going to play in
Just,
the SEC
yeah,
title game
it's
right
just
now.
wild.
Because
Absolutely wild.
behind that group, all but 2 losses in conference play are Georgia, Ole Miss, Alabama. We mentioned already the tiebreakers going on there, or at least for
Yeah.
Georgia.
In
And then
Missouri,
yeah, Missouri and
LSU.
LSU both have 2 losses.
And we have the tiebreaker
LSU.
over both of them.
Yeah, so Alabama's good there because they have tiebreakers over Missouri, LSU, and Georgia.
Yeah,
Obviously, if Tennessee were to fall down, Alabama does not have that tiebreaker.
all right.
But man, it's just crazy. It is just a
Just
crazy year.
wild. It's just a
Uh,
wild year. And honestly, on Saturday when I was thinking for Alabama purposes, what's better for Alabama? Is it better for Georgia to win to give Tennessee that second loss, or is it better for Tennessee win? Even though I never want to see Tennessee win anything, but just for
mhm.
the record's sake, it might be better for Tennessee to continue that give Georgia another loss just to get a team out of the picture.
Yeah. Yeah. At least in that sense.
In that
Uh,
sense. But I mean, I'm good either way. The Tennessee loss never
yeah.
hurts anybody. But
Yeah. If you're an
uh,
Alabama fan right now, you just win out. That's our
yeah, we
thing. We
just
got
we just
we got
went out because
Mertz.
I have faith 10-2 gets you in.
Yeah, I think 10-2 with the wins, win over Georgia,
We went over
the win.
LSU on the road.
Yeah, that South Carolina win's going to look better if they keep
Yeah,
winning. They had a big win at Vandy
big one.
yesterday.
80. They're
Uh,
probably the best win over Vandy all season.
yeah, for sure. Um, but yeah, it's just going to be a great November, a great end to this season, and then just real quick too to go through the group of 5. If you look, obviously Boise is probably the leading candidate to get that bid right now. Surprising, Colorado State also unbeaten in Mountain West play right
Uh,
now. And you know what, the Rams, they're they do have 3 losses in the year. None of them are in conference, but their losses are Texas, Colorado, and Oregon State. So it's not
So not bad losses at all.
terrible. That's a good team, and their schedule's kind of set up for them. They
Yeah.
got Wyoming, a team that's a down year for
Struggling.
them. Fresno State, team that's kind of meh this year, and then a struggling
Yeah.
Utah State team.
Yeah.
The
Huh.
Rams
And they
might
don't
find themselves
play.
unbeaten. Yeah.
Yeah. They don't play Boise or UNLV. That's huge for
So
them.
everyone's talking
Yeah.
about the Boise UNLV rematch. If the
It
Rams
may
take
not
care of
happen.
business, yeah, they might
We don't
spoil
see
it.
that. Wow.
But let's see, going else. The American, of course, we know Army is there. Tulane's still unbeaten in conference play there as well.
Interesting.
Green Wave just keep rolling, man. Great program there. They actually play. I think I had that they visit Navy next week. Big game for
Hmm.
them because Navy is
Interesting.
right behind them in the standings.
Right.
Um,
Still in
so
my
it'll
mouth
be
in the conference.
it's still a possibility that we get 2 Army Navy games, one in the American Championship and then one in just the usual Army Navy game.
Yeah. I agree. That would be great.
Wild. Conference USA, Western Kentucky unbeaten at the top of the standings, also unbeaten. Jacksonville State, man, Rich Rod boys after that 0-3 start have won 6 in a row, 5-0
Great
in
job.
conference. Just the absolute wildest ending of the night. Yesterday, they were beaten up on Louisiana Tech. Tech came back, got the lead. Jacksonville State threw a Hail Mary into the game. They just need the extra point to win, missed the extra point, and then won it in overtime. Just absolutely
Wild.
insane.
Absolutely. Yeah,
Insane.
that's wild.
Uh, well, yeah, crazy there. Sun Belt, you got, their only division or the only conference still with divisions. The Raging Cajuns of Louisiana, unbeaten in conference play, leading the West. And then you got Georgia Southern and Marshall, both 4-1 there in the East. And then your MAC, you got a 4-way tie at the top of the MAC standings right now with Miami, Ohio, Bowling Green, and Western Michigan. And I believe on Tuesday, I think Bowling Green and Western Michigan play, if I have that right. A little action this week. And then what other game? Oh, for next week, just to look ahead, that schedule again, obviously the big
And
one
you
with
look
Tennessee.
at Bowling Green too. I mean, remember the first of the season they gave Penn State and A&M everything they wanted.
They did. They did. Bowling Green, man. Looking back, like was it Omar Jacobs? Was that his name back in the
Yeah,
day?
oh man, yeah,
The beginning of Maction back in the day.
exactly.
Um,
And it's crazy though that after all the thing, Northern Illinois with that that's one of those games. Now you're looking more at that like, how did that ever happen? Them beating Notre Dame. Just like, for how did that even happen? Because they have not done anything really since. And 2-3
no,
in the MAC, 5-4 overall. So it's just
yeah,
wild, just week by week how wild things are.
yeah,
Because
that
it makes no sense how
absolutely,
that can
yeah, that
happen.
that continues to be the most shocking loss of the year so far.
Yeah,
Um, but yeah, and then of course next week we mentioned Tennessee at Georgia, Clemson at Pitt. Missouri visits South Carolina, and all of a sudden becomes a
Mm.
very interesting game in the SEC
Very
race
interesting game.
for some bowl position at least. Neither team
Yeah,
really has a shot at the playoff, but should be a good game.
for
Texas
sure.
visits old rival Arkansas. Fayetteville will be rocking there.
Yeah. Uh, honestly, they might need that though, because as well as things were going for a while there, I'm thinking there's some grumblings going on in Fayetteville just with those losses they've taken. You know, giving up that many points to both LSU and Ole Miss at home, like that,
Mm-hmm.
and then I don't
It's certainly you at least probably at least want
make
you
it a
want them to
game.
compete. Yeah, make it a game. Don't roll over for them.
Uh,
They'll be hyped. The crowd will be loud.
oh
They
yeah,
no love
they
lost
hated
between those two
Texas.
programs. Yeah,
Absolutely.
that's 11 o'clock on ABC next week too. So that's gonna be nice and early in that sun. Uh, but yeah, outside of that, right now Arkansas sitting at 5-4. They got
Hmm.
Louisiana Tech the week after, so they could probably get there to back to a bowl. And
Right.
then they end the season at Missouri, and then, obviously we
Who
know Missouri
knows?
struggled this year. So 7 wins, not impossible. Like you said, yeah. If you're Sam Pittman, you got to compete. If this is another blowout, then maybe, yeah, maybe things start rumbling and grumbling again.
Right.
Um, but yeah, like it's another one of those. There's only the one huge marquee game, but then there's all these other tricky games.
There's a bunch of
Arizona,
interesting games out there.
yeah, some we mentioned. But yeah, anything else in the college gridiron you want to talk about before we move to the pros?
Um, what was it? No, not really. I mean, I guess just yeah. I mean, we had mentioned about FSU firing everybody but Mike Norvell. So that'd be
Hmm.
interesting. Which basically is his sentence of, "Hey, get it together next year. You're out yourself." Pretty
Yeah,
much dead man walking is what
mhm.
that means when you got to change your whole coaching staff. So
Yeah.
it's tough in itself.
Other coaching news too. Yeah, it looks like Kennesaw State's coach will step down after they fell to 1-8 in their first year in FBS.
But it's just like, I mean, it's such a big move up. They got the big win a couple weeks ago. Like, well,
And
I
yeah,
mean, I'm
it's kind
assuming
of,
he's getting fired more than he's stepping down. I'm sure it's a
I
mutual
assume
thing.
so, which is kind of crazy. He's got he's been there 10 years. He's got a 72-38 record. They won like what, four, or they
Yeah,
made the playoffs, I think, 4 straight years in their last 4 years
exactly.
in the FCS. Yeah.
You know,
So yeah, unfortunate for him. Brian Bohannon's his name, but uh, is what
it's
it
just
is.
like, what are the expectations of Kennesaw State really supposed to be? I don't know.
Exactly at this level, it takes you time to adjust.
Yeah.
So
So we'll
we'll
see.
see. And then I guess that the other thing, coaching wise, is that Florida did announce this week that Billy
Oh, it
Napier
is.
will be coming back.
It makes
So
sense.
he did enough, and yeah, I think so too. Because you don't know who, what names you're going to get to come there.
Yeah.
Especially now, Lane gets that big win over Georgia, and
Yeah.
we've
I
talked
don't
about
think
how
that.
he might be happy in Oxford there and not want to go to a
Yeah.
pressure cooker like Gainesville.
Because,
Uh,
yeah, I
so yeah.
mean, yeah, Lane is in a good spot just because if he makes a playoff every couple of the years or in that contention, I mean, I think that's good enough in Oxford. It may not be good
Yeah.
enough in Gainesville, but yeah, I mean, I think that they're kind of in that mindset that we talk about all the time.
Hmm.
Unless you're guaranteed to have better, why make a move that could set you back another 3 or 4 years? You're doing the same thing, looking for
Yeah.
another
So
coach. So
especially with DJ Lagway getting injured, they've seen what potential he has. So if he comes
right,
back healthy next year, they
yeah.
get a decent class in there, maybe get some good transfers.
Is he done for
Hey,
the season or is
I'm
he?
not sure. I don't think I've seen anything on that, but they might be
Right.
cautious with him. I wouldn't be
Yeah,
surprised if they were
I
cautious
wouldn't
with him.
be.
Yeah.
I might shut him down just to. I mean, it's kind of a. I mean, I wouldn't say lost cause. I mean, you still want to put your best out there, but if he's not healthy, I'm not. I'm not putting him up there against what they say, Ole Miss and LSU on the schedule. Yeah,
Mm.
I'm not. I mean, I'm not risking further problems unless he, November. As well, we say November healthy because no one's healthy fully in college football. So,
No. Yeah.
but
Um. No. Yeah. You mentioned Florida's. They have host LSU next week, host LSU after that, and then they go to Tallahassee to end the season.
can't lose
Um.
that game. Cannot.
No.
That
Yeah.
game
That's no.
can't be close. Like you have to handle that business. I don't care who's playing quarterback. That might. That might. They might say Billy.
Yeah, that might change some minds if you lose that
Yeah.
one, especially because it
Yeah.
would be a third straight loss to your
Right.
hated rival.
Yeah.
So you can't do that.
No.
Uh, and then I guess one more thing before we move on. Dylan Gabriel, Oregon set the NCAA record for total touchdowns. He now has 179 total touchdowns in his career, passing
Mm.
Case Keenum, the old Houston
Wow.
quarterback. Um, So yeah, congratulations to him. I still don't think he really belongs in the Heisman race. Uh, but and then again, who knows? The Cam Ward. I mean, even the loss wasn't Cam Ward's fault. He still balled out
No.
yesterday over
He
like
did
what
not.
360
Right.
yards, a couple
Yeah.
touchdowns, no picks. Yeah. Um, Ashton Genty obviously there, and
Right there.
Travis Hunter will be there. Dylan Gabriel deserves a invite,
Okay.
but I think
Yes.
he's mostly there right now because he's the quarterback
Winning.
of the number one team in the country.
Right.
Yeah.
They're winning games.
Hmm.
But I mean,
He's his good
he's
stats are great.
consistent.
Yeah, he's consistent, and that's. But uh, I don't know.
And
He
of
just doesn't
course,
jump out to me.
he'd much rather have that national championship
Yeah, for
than a
sure. But
trophy.
good for the man because I mean, hell, he's been in college for. He's literally a pre-COVID guy. He's been playing that long.
Yeah, he's
Uh,
been everywhere. Where
this
did
is
he started? Where
tw- was it was it Oklahoma's first, or did he even
I
transfer
thought
to
he was,
Oklahoma from
I
somewhere
thought he
else?
transferred to Oklahoma from somewhere.
UCF. That's right. Yeah, he started his career in
That's
UCF.
right. He started with the what's the name? Yeah, that's right.
Scott Frost. Yeah, uh,
Huh. So yeah,
crazy.
he's been in college forever.
Or maybe not. Was that
No,
was
he
he
would
a
have been
Scott
with
Frost guy,
no,
or would
he
he have
would
been
have
a
been with
Hypel?
he'd
Josh
been with
Heupel?
Heupel. Yeah, he would have been with
Okay.
Heupel.
Yeah, but
But
and yeah, one of those career college players. But yeah, let's move on to the pros real quick today. Interesting week started Thursday with just another
wow,
classic
just
between the Ravens and Bengals. Man,
dude,
that
that's just guaranteed to have everything you want to see in the game, right? But I know
and
you
then
had been
also,
sweating at the end there.
whew, and it's and I think every Ravens fan online said some form of this defense, this secondary is going to cost Lamar a Super Bowl this year because
They
Lamar
tried.
once again great game.
Yeah.
Uh, did everything he could do. That nice, great clutch play down 21-7. And then the big play, Marlon Humphrey, man, stripped Chase Brown. And,
Hmm.
Ravens jumped on the ball. And then all of a sudden they reeled off 21 straight points, took that lead. And then I, I looked at the stats. Jamar Chase has now played, I think, 10 career games against the Ravens. He has almost 1,000 yards in those games.
Dude, he
Just
was
insane. Uh,
amazing.
Joe
The last,
Burrow and Jamar Chase ended a bunch of
yeah.
fantasy matchups on Thursday night. uh, I know there's a couple guys in
Yeah.
my league that just gave it up after
Imagine if you had
Thursday
both
night.
of them. Imagine if
Oh,
you had both of them on your team this week.
if you
I'm
had
going
both
up
of them,
against that this
you
week.
could have benched everybody else and still won. Uh,
Yeah.
but yeah, just another crazy game.
Yeah.
Bengals fans and have some gripes about the 2-point play. Uh, as far as the face mask, yeah, it looks like they might have missed a face mask on that. As far as some people claim defensive holding on that game, nah. I'll tell you this right now: Mike Gesicki is a whiny little bitch.
Yeah.
He looks for a flag after every incompletion. Most of the Bengals receivers doing that. It was actually really annoying. But Jamar Chase can do that because the Ravens have never stopped him. So it might legit be a shock to him if he doesn't catch a pass. Uh,
Exactly.
but Mike Gesicki, every play he was looking for a flag if he didn't catch
Yeah.
it, and it just got. And I do wonder if that the refs might have had that in their head. They might have been like, whatever. But I looked at the replay and he made this kind of move. I don't think it was a hold. I did think they missed a face mask. But regardless of that, you blew a 14-point lead and
Yeah.
you don't have much to say there.
But you gave up
And
21 in the
then,
fourth quarter. I mean, hey.
yeah, yeah. But it was just crazy. Yeah, as soon as the Ravens took back that lead and then Burrow hit Chase on that 70-yard touchdown, I was
Dude.
just like, not this shit again. But
Yeah.
then
Oh, yeah.
Lamar took him right back down the field, scored,
Yeah.
and then Cincinnati went right back down the field. And I saw some people questioning going for two there. I would have.
Why not?
Yeah, the defense hadn't proven you could stop. Now, why the ball didn't go towards Chase is another. That's the question. But
Yeah. I mean, you're sitting at 4-6. I mean, yeah. I mean, why not? I mean,
yeah,
everything, have all the momentum in the world right there. I mean, you just went up
hmm
the field ridiculous. Just been slaughtering the Raven defense all game,
hmm
but you can't stop the Ravens either. So yeah, why not? I mean, I
and
think
exactly that's why you do it because
yeah,
if you looked at it was like the Ravens had just scored. I think they scored touchdowns on their last 4 drives. So
yeah, you're not stopping them. They're
yeah,
not stopping you. But at the same time, he's probably thinking if we lose that coin toss, we're probably not getting a chance to get the ball.
yeah.
So
Uh,
no, I mean, it's one of those things. Of course, you're always going to question if it doesn't go your way, but
mhm.
it's one of those ones. You might as well. I mean, you're not losing anything really there. I mean,
No, I think it's the right call. Like you said, they were 4-5, I think, at that point. So they had a chance to go 500, a chance to get one back on their division rival.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got to go for it there. Don't blame them.
Why not?
Today, the kind of some interesting results. The Chiefs looked like they would finally get beaten, and then they blocked a
Man,
field goal as
blocked it.
time expired.
Wow.
Uh, just
Just
absolutely crazy.
crazy.
They bull rushed that line, that left side of that
Yeah,
line,
they
or
did.
they just murdered.
It could have been like three people that had that block on that last
Yeah,
game. They
yeah.
were
If
all
the
right there.
exactly if the guy who blocked it didn't get it, someone else was. So
Yeah. They just
Steelers
keep
beat the
finding ways to win.
Commanders. Yeah, it's annoying. It's really
They
annoying.
really do.
Steelers beat the Commanders in a big matchup there. They keep rolling. Of course, next week, Sunday, Steelers Ravens for a huge one, NFC
Wow.
North, or
Yeah.
excuse me, AFC North matchup. The Bills kept on rolling today, beat the Colts. They've now, and after 3-0 start, lost those two big games back to back, and now they've another winning streak. Uh, so they are keeping pace at least for that 2 seed.
Sure.
And in case the Chiefs do slip up, Saints fired Dennis Allen this week and then turned around, broke their
Turn
losing
around
streak, beat the
one.
Falcons today. Yep.
That's got the Falcons. That's a bad loss for them. I mean, this
It
is your
is. It
time
is. Yeah.
to completely dominate your rival. I understand it was in New Orleans, but man, you're starting to pull away from the division. The Bucks are hurt. The Saints are down. They just fired their coach. You don't know where they're at. I understand it was in the Superdome, but still, that's the type of game if you're a true contender, you want to show that you're different this year than other Falcons teams. No one still take you very seriously. Everybody expects you to blow something. This is your
Mm-hmm.
chance to really show, hey, and if they won today, they would have been, showed. But yeah, still the Falcons
Yeah.
finding ways to do
What?
weird.
What's his face? Their kicker Koo, I believe he missed 3 kicks today. I think.
Yeah, just
Uh,
wow.
just a rough day for him. And then especially they were gifted an opportunity late. They were out of timeouts.
Hmm.
And the Saints could have, they had what was it, like a 3rd and 7, so they could have just run the ball, run out the clock, and let the clock wind down, and they would have got the punted, and then the Falcons would have got the ball back with uh, like maybe 20 seconds or something crazy. But they decided they split Alvin Kamara out, and he slipped through, was wide ass open, and dropped it. A
Hmm.
pass that he would have scored, sealed the game right there. So the Falcons got their opportunity with about a minute left and couldn't do it.
Yeah,
So um,
I understand, but yeah, three missed kicks. That's I mean that
that's
Koo is
rough.
turning one of the
Yeah.
better kickers in the league to miss three
Yeah.
in a
Just an
dome.
off day for him. Yeah.
In a
Off day for
dome.
him. Our boy
Jeez,
Bryce Young got a win today
gotta win.
for
It's
the
ugly.
Panthers in Germany. It was ugly, but a win is a win is a win.
Yeah, for sure.
Speaking of ugly, now the Bears starting to struggle. Ugly lost
Oh,
today to the Patriots, dominated them.
19-3. Hey,
Yeah.
the bad thing for Caleb Williams, he's lost both of the other rookie quarterbacks that won that first round.
Mm-hmm.
So now everybody's
That's not
looking at
good.
him like,
And it's
yeah,
something like I think the Bears now. I forgot the stat now. I think it's something like 40 straight drives, 28, something like that, without a touchdown now for that Bears offense. It's
but
getting bad
nineteen
there.
to three. That's against New England.
That's
That's
rough.
tough. That's
That's
tough.
tough. Yeah. Christian McCaffrey comes back today, and the Niners get a great win in Tampa Bay.
Yeah.
Um, let's see, Vikings and Jaguars played. Mac Jones, poor Mac. He had a chance today, but he fumbled a late snap and then threw a late interception. The Vikings get a big road win for them.
Hmm.
And the Eagles, uh,
Jesus.
yeah, big win over your Cowboys. The only thing I'm upset about is that they didn't get Barkley or Devontae a touchdown, and my fantasy team probably losing it because Lamar's the only one that showed up for me this week. But
Um, but
that's
such
all
an
right.
ugly game for Dallas. I mean, meaning the fact that it was 7-6 at the halftime, and
Hmm.
if it had the second half was just so
And then
ridiculous.
did they officially announce Dak out for the year?
Yeah,
Have
he's
they
out for the
said yeah?
yep out for the year, and yeah, the quarterback play was abysmal today. But everybody played, and everybody was terrible. The defense held their own in the first half, but yeah, the second half got ugly. I think so. I was listening to so I went to go pick up some stuff from Target. So next time I just
Mhm.
joined the Cowboy Network or whatever because I like to hear those guys anyway sometimes over the TV. But between the time that I and Target's maybe 5 10 minutes from my house, there was a pick and two fumbles for the Cowboys.
Mm.
By the time I went to
Yes.
Target and came back, and it was just a pickup order. Yeah.
Oh,
So,
speaking of fumble, Houston
oh
almost had
wow.
another turnover
Oh
there.
wow.
Oh
Yeah, I was a
man,
little second behind you there. wow. That
this
ball went
game
flying.
is
It's
man, this game
ridiculous.
is oof. Then
It
the
looked like
Lions still
Houston
bet.
was. It looks like Houston was gonna run through them.
No, but now the Lions scored. They're only down
Yeah.
three now,
Three now.
despite the five interceptions.
Jesus.
And
What
that's
a
what
wild
did the
game.
lineman try to take the ball from? What the hell went on right there?
It looked like it, didn't it? Looked like he looked like
He
that.
was trying to take it and run with it. He stripped his own quarterback.
Oh wow. What are you
What you?
doing?
Oh, so now
Wow.
that's a punt, and Detroit will get the ball
Jeez.
back with a chance to tie or take the lead. That's
Wow.
crazy. This is a insane game, man. Uh, run away from the ball, Peter. Uh, but yeah, so yeah, just a rough season for your Cowboys. Gets rougher.
Yeah, I mean
Uh,
the only games I think we have a chance in is I think we have Carolina and we have the Giants on the schedule. Other than that, I don't see another win.
other than that, keep losing and get that better draft pick, right?
Just keep losing.
Uh, and then let's see one more result I want to look at. Oh, the Cardinals, big win for them, man. Blow out the
Wow.
Jets today. Just it's not
The
happening for the
Jets, it
Jets. They're
doesn't.
now
Yeah,
3-7.
it doesn't matter what they did, who they brought in. Like this is bad.
Mhm.
Yeah. So
Uh, yeah. Now you look at the stand. Of course, there's a Monday night game tomorrow. The Dolphins and Dolphins season pretty much over. But the Rams, they can keep pace in the playoff race for them.
absolutely. I mean,
Uh,
we
I mean,
said that. You said that plenty of times. Just how
yeah.
they've gotten healthy, and that they're
Mhm.
winning games, and
Yeah.
yeah, they're looking good.
And that's a huge loss. And the crazy thing is, though, for the Jets, going back to that real quick, if you look at the playoff standings, they're actually only a couple games back of the Broncos for that final seed. But
Um,
it's just not looking like it's going to happen. Um,
no, they're
yeah,
three
if
and
you
three and
yeah,
wow,
it's yeah. If you look real quick, standings play in the AFC. Obviously, KC would be your first seed with a bye. The Bills would be your two seed. Steelers would be three. Houston four. Baltimore five. Chargers your six seed right there. Jim Harbaugh doing his thing first year, and then the
yeah,
Broncos would be your seven. We did mention Ravens Steelers next week. A huge AFC North matchup. Um, there. So, that'll thing. On the NFC
sure,
side, Detroit right now has the lead for that one seed. I don't know what tiebreaker would come to effect if they lose
yeah,
tonight. Philly's the two seed as it stands right now. The Falcons would be your three seed. The Cardinals actually leading the NFC West right now. They'd be your
lead
four
the
seed.
West. Wow,
That's just crazy. The 7-2 Vikings would be the fifth seed. The Commanders would be the sixth seed, and the Packers would be your seventh seed right now. That's a much better race for that last spot
oh
than
yeah,
the AFC. The NFC is much deeper this year because behind the Packers right there, you got San Fran, which is going to get better now that CMC's.
yeah,
You got the Rams. We mentioned they're getting hot, and then you got a couple cluster right there with the Bears. They're starting to
yeah.
falter. Seattle's there, and they're kind
So
of one of those up and down teams, but they can get
yeah,
hot
but
for
yeah,
talent.
right.
And then Tampa Bay, valiant effort again today, but those injuries to Mike Evans and Chris Godwin, I think, are
Yeah, it's
just
just too
too
much.
tough.
That's a lot of
So,
you,
Jameer Gibbs.
Shamir.
Every time I see him break off a 15,
Good
20-yard run,
God,
I just still
yes.
just
What in the
still
world?
retroactively mad at fucking Bill O'Brien.
Because
Asshole.
that man could do everything. That man could do everything. He can catch out the backfield. He can run the ball. I
Hmm.
mean, he's just a human highlight reel.
Yeah, absolutely. Couple big
Jeez.
games. decent schedule next week in the NFL. Thursday night, Commanders Eagles, big one in the East.
Oh wow,
There,
that's
nice
huge.
prime time. Yeah,
You know
we mentioned
that Thursday night's done a decent job this year.
they got a good schedule going. If they got rid of the Thursday night NFL game, I'd be completely fine with it outside of Thanksgiving games.
Yeah,
Um, but yeah,
because
they've got a good
they've
slate
done a
this
good
year.
job this year of
Yeah.
getting games that people might be interested in.
And then they've been good games too, because they've had the
Yeah,
problem in the past where there was just always a blowout, but they've been some really good games this week.
absolutely.
Uh, mentioned the Ravens and Steelers in Pittsburgh next Sunday at noon.
Hmm.
Packers and Bears play a big one. Um, let's see where else. The Falcons
Seattle,
visit
San
the
Francisco's
Broncos.
interesting.
Yeah, Seattle, San Francisco's interesting. Falcons visit the Broncos. Oh, there's a big one Sunday
Chiefs.
afternoon. Chiefs and Bills.
Oh,
Chiefs and Bills, and then you got the Sunday night game next week, Bengals and Chargers. That's all of a sudden that might be not almost an elimination game for the Bengals. It wouldn't
oh,
really doom them, but that's kind of they got to
well,
go into that. That's
they
a
gotta
must
win
win
that
for them.
one. Yeah. Oh,
Um,
and then look at that Monday Night Football. Everybody gets to watch Dallas get it.
yeah,
Out.
unfortunate Texans visit the Cowboys for Monday night.
Please.
Uh, but yeah,
Something tells me it's gonna be a lot of Texans fans in the stadium.
mm,
Because honestly, I
yeah,
don't know how Cowboy fans keep paying what the price
mm,
is for tickets to sit through this shit. Like it's wild.
yeah.
I don't even know how you even pay your $100, $200 to 300, depending on what level you're on, just to get in there,
Mhm.
knowing that you don't have really a chance of winning the game. It's wild.
I'll tell you what, it's at the point for the Cowboys now. I'm reading some headlines, see if anything else. CD Lamb wants the Cowboys to install curtains there in those sunlights. I guess he blames the sun. He
Yeah,
dropped a
for the
touchdown
for the
today.
touchdown.
It is.
It is kind of dumb. I
I'm about to
mean,
say it is a problem there. If you look at it, it's one of those things, kind of an oversight. You're in Texas. You know the time of day you play. The sun's going to
right?
be there. That's kind of
The
That's kind of a
what?
bad design. But if you're
The
winning,
Cowboys.
you don't see him make that
Yeah, you
comment.
don't see that. No, absolutely not. But
Um,
I mean, still have not won a game at home, and have not even
mm,
been in a game at home.
insane,
I
yeah.
mean, I mean,
And
the
today
Ravens
was
game got close, but it shouldn't have been that close. The Ravens
mhm,
blew. I mean, it was ugly for 90% of that one. I
mhm,
mean, the Saints blew us out. You guys beat us. Detroit housed us. Eagles housed us. Like this fan base that goes to the game faithfully every week, probably not seeing a. Well, they might get the Thanksgiving game, but other than that, you're not seeing a win this season. That's
mhm.
wild because you're
And
not.
what
You,
today was like what only the second loss versus an NFC East team at home in like the
yeah,
past 6 years or something like
because
that, or the
we've had
first loss, something crazy.
six straight wins against
Hmm.
six straight wins against the Eagles going into today. I
Mm.
mean, at halftime it was 14-6. I mean, defense did the heck of a job.
Ooh, yeah.
That was close, but
Detroit
hey,
sneaks in, but a 58-yard field goal, and this
wow,
game is
that's
tied,
huge.
man. Crazy
Yeah, I
game.
mean,
Good
we were
game.
only down 14-6 at the half. The defense held their own. Michael Parsons back, and probably the best defensive effort we've seen all year. But this offense is abysmal.
Hmm.
I mean, I think we had the turnovers. I think we had like 5 or 6 turnovers, and we don't have the playmakers to make up for that. Like once we turn the ball over, and the thing is, it's one thing to lose games, but I saw something. Not only the Cowboys losing games, the most boring team in the NFL.
Mm.
Like it's not nothing exciting. There's nothing. There's no energy. Like this is just a terrible team.
Yeah.
And it all
Uh,
starts from Jerry on down. The whole thing was he was all in this season. And the only thing we did on the trade deadline was send a fourth for the Carolina wide receiver
no, yeah.
who was having a horrible year. Like we should have been able to get him for basically free. And we gave him a fourth rounder. I mean,
Which is
obviously,
insane when you consider that the Ravens basically got Deontay Johnson for I think a seventh round pick swap.
yes,
They
from the same
yeah,
team.
it wasn't even that. Yeah, that the Ravens. traded a seventh rounder for him, they got a seventh rounder back in him for a seventh
Yeah.
rounder. So
And then I mean, and then yeah, I mean KC stole what's his name, DeAndre Hopkins. But yeah, we giving up a fourth for a dude who has been terrible in
mhm,
Carolina. I mean the front office at this point in Dallas is a joke. We did nothing in the offseason, you know, nothing at the free agency deadline. Like it's just, but this was supposed to be the all in year.
mhm,
Like it's wild. I don't know.
insane. Yeah.
But I mean, obviously nothing's going to change because I mean, people are still going to buy stuff. Just still, I mean, really, that's the
Mhm,
only thing you can really do to maybe catch a owner, get their attention is you stop buying stuff, you stop going to games. But unfortunately, that's never going to happen. So
mhm.
I don't know what you do. I don't know.
Yeah, it's yeah, a tough year. And like
Yeah,
you said, I get the hope, the silver lining. I guess the hope for you guys right now is you get a high draft pick. Maybe you get someone,
you know, you
whatever position you think. I guess it depends on
played
who's
everything.
available. Yeah.
But the thing is, though, is it's not as exciting because all these quarterbacks,
Hmm.
and we could have been in a quarterback, talk. But of course, we threw all the money to Dak,
Hmm.
and now we're stuck with that. We could have got Shador cheaper, or one of these other guys cheaper, and see where that goes. But now we're all in with Dak, and no
Hmm.
money going anywhere else. And yeah,
Yeah,
all
and it's not like Jerry Jones is the type of guy to blow it up and do a rebuild.
right.
It's not his style.
No, so I think we're just gonna see a lot of bad. I don't see it getting any better, unfortunately.
Mm, yeah, and
And
then
people are gonna leave. Mike
and
is
yeah,
gonna leave. CD's gonna leave. Like they're gonna go somewhere else. Maybe not even for the more money. They're just gonna want to go somewhere to win.
and that's it's a big worry. In this era of player empowerment where they're demanding trades more. Yeah, you sign CD to that extension, but that's a contract that any team would happily take on if they need a number
Oh yeah.
one guy like CD.
Oh, absolutely.
And then obviously Micah Parsons is just an absolute game changer
Yeah.
on
And
defense.
he
One of the
said he's
best five defensive players in the league. Yeah.
right, and he's expressed anger with even last year.
Hmm.
We were winning games. The defense was questionable. It's crazy too to think. The big thing has been the defense faltering at times, and now the offense doesn't even show up at all. Like it's just I don't know what's going on. Like, and the thing is we can say, oh, you can fire Mike McCarthy, but that doesn't solve anything.
No. And there's no guarantee he'll do that. You saw how
Yeah.
long he held on to Jason Garrett.
Exactly, and
So
they said McCarthy's safe for now. Supposedly, I just saw something came across.
mm,
I don't know if that is gonna help or not. Because honestly, who wants to come in as a coach that seriously wants to win or
mm-hmm,
have some type of control or with Jerry? I mean, Jerry doesn't make all the decisions, but it's just his mouthpiece. That'd be so frustrating as a coach. Every week he gives a crazy soundbite. you
mm,
know. A couple weeks ago, he wanted to get the guys fired for answering a question about why they didn't. Is your off-season moves hurting you guys now?
mm-hmm.
And that man, it's just wild. But hey,
Yeah. But yeah, moving on. Just real quick, let's see. NBA season going along. The story of the week is injuries, and not just for the Raven or the Pelicans, excuse me, for once. Although, once again, Zion
Zion out again.
Williamson injury out indefinitely. I was on
Gee,
top of second year player Jordan Hawkins. Will miss a couple weeks. He got hurt the other day. Um, you know,
tough.
it's just it's cursed, man. I guess some bit of good news. It looks like Trey Murphy will make his season debut Monday against the Nets. Um, so that's good. But it's like I said, it's not just the Pelicans. Uh,
No,
uh, Ja looks like he's going to be out. He's week to week, they say, with a hip injury. KD looks like he's going to be out a couple weeks at least with a calf strain. Uh,
the Suns
Jimmy
are playing good ball.
Butler's, yeah, Suns are playing real good ball. Jimmy Butler's got an ankle injury. He did not play in their win over the T Wolves. Uh, Chet Holmgren had to leave Oklahoma City's game today after he had a hard fall. It just, yeah, ooh, like, stop getting hurt, y'all. Um,
But my thing is this: so is it a conditioning thing? Is it a strength thing?
yeah, is it just or is it
Something
just one of these
missing? Or,
weird? Yeah.
but it seems like a lot of injuries keep happening in the league, and I mean I
Hmm.
understand like things happen, but I don't know. Like I don't know, just people just don't stay in because they know it's a. It's like people know that hey, it's not important that if I'm healthy right now, I can miss a couple weeks in November. It's about
Hmm.
later on. And I don't know how serious some of these injuries are or not. Who
Yeah.
knows?
Yeah, it's just an unfortunate thing to see. Nobody wants to see it.
Cleveland's still undefeated on the season.
Wild, just wild. Crazy. 11-0, best record in the league.
Yeah,
Milwaukee's still struggling, and
still
uh,
struggling.
Jalen Brown shit talking Giannis. Giannis pulled like a little fake handshake thing,
Hmm.
I guess, and Jalen just calls him a child. Uh, so things not looking good in Milwaukee right now,
No,
man.
2-8. Wow,
They're
last in
gonna
the
need.
East.
Hmm.
Wow.
They need some help because Chris Middleton's still
Yeah,
hurt. And they Giannis and Dame need some help.
they do.
Uh, uh,
It's
the
bad.
East, it's a kind of a struggle bus in the East right now. Only two teams above 500: the excuse me, the Cavs and the Celtics.
Yeah,
The Celtics are 9 and
Pacers
2.
5-5,
Yeah, the
and
three
third.
seed right now is the Pacers at 5-5. That's crazy. Whereas you go down to the West and you got 10 teams
Shit.
above 500.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. I mean, my Mavs are sitting at 5-5, and we're in 11th.
Mm, yeah. A tough loss today against the Nuggets, too. But,
Dude, we lost the whole weekend.
mm,
Couldn't beat Phoenix on Friday.
mm,
Of course, KD couldn't get. He was healthy until
mm,
the game, you know.
yeah.
But yeah, Michael Porter hit the game winner today against us.
Mm,
So,
yeah.
but man, it's been a
Tough.
tough go. But it's November, so I
Yeah,
don't
it's
know
early
how.
yet, but just some, interesting early season trends, pay attention to. Golden State still winning the great start to their year. No, but I don't think
Yeah,
anybody really saw that coming either. But
no,
Phoenix, OKC, Golden State, all 8-2 atop the West right now. Denver right behind them at 7-3.
yeah,
Um, but yeah, early season. Speaking of basketball, of course, Alabama hoops uh, started this week
yeah,
and looking good so far. 2-0.
yeah.
Tell you what,
It was a little tough on, but that's supposedly gonna be a good Arkansas State team, and I mean,
hmm
considering he was at Alabama for forever, I mean, he knows what Nate's gonna
yeah.
run.
Hmm.
And they still put up 88 despite bad 3-point shooting. I think that's a good sign. I like that. Um,
Yeah, no, yeah, exactly. That's been the problem of these Alabama teams under Nate Oates in the past is that if the 3-point shooting goes cold, the whole offense kind of goes cold. But
mhm.
uh, no, like you said, 88 points from a cold night, and a physical
I'll
game.
take.
You got to win those. You got to win those physical
Yeah.
games. So,
I mean, Arkansas
uh,
State is. I mean,
mhm,
they're projected to win their conference. So
mhm.
I mean, very well could be a tournament team. So yeah, I mean, a good win in that sense. And then did you see talk about college the Auburn players get into a fight on the way to
I
Houston?
did. Yeah,
When they
I
turned the
was going to
plane around.
mention that. Just absolutely insane on their flight to Houston. They had to turn around and land the plane because two Auburn players got in a fight with each other on the plane, man. Which crazy
Wow.
to think about two tall ass basketball players getting a fight on a plane.
On this little plane.
But
Yeah.
they get to Houston.
And
They
win.
beat Houston. Yeah,
Wow.
uh, dropping
So who
bombs on
knows?
them. But you got to imagine there's some. eh,
Something's crazy.
Yeah, there's might be a little something behind the scenes there.
Yeah.
just something to pay attention to. Maybe they'll
All right.
move past it. Sometimes teammates fight. It
You know,
happens, but
sometimes dudes just blow up, get it out of the
yeah.
way, get out your system, move on to the next
Hmm.
thing. But we'll see. But yeah, I mean, the fact that they still, I mean, going
Hmm.
down to it, Houston, one of the tougher places to win. I mean,
Oh yeah, absolutely, yeah.
it's an electric place to play. So
Hmm.
yeah, I mean, that's a big win for Auburn in the early season there. So
Hmm. Yeah, definitely. Tiger fans have it's fully basketball season for them.
fully
Uh,
basketball season, absolutely. Yeah,
yeah.
that's
And then also some more troubling off the court issues. Florida coach,
yeah,
what's his first name? Todd Golden. There's a Title IX investigation going on,
it's really
uh,
weird.
and some claims against him, sexual
Stalking.
harassment, some stalking, some cyber. Yeah, it's weird, unfortunate. We'll see how that
Yeah,
investigation
because
plays out. They
that's
have announced that he will keep coaching while
technical.
he's being
I mean,
investigated. So.
yeah. I mean, it's one of those. It's a weird situation. I mean, I guess it's not the. But it's
Mhm.
but the fact. I don't know. The
Yeah.
just a weird thing. We'll see how it plays out, but
Hmm.
I don't think it ends well for him.
Yeah, those usually doesn't.
Because obviously, like some of the texts, like shows up at places where people are at, knows where they're at,
Hmm.
and say, "Ooh," and they're college girls, and you're a married guy. Like I don't know, it's a weird
Yeah,
situation.
never ends well.
No,
Never ends well. But yeah.
no. So
Uh, just going back real quick, looking ahead this week for our Tide on the court. They get Monday. They have McNeese State.
yeah,
Another tune-up before a big one. Purdue next. Is that Friday? Yeah,
yeah.
I think Friday night they play the Boilermakers.
But,
Um,
interesting with college basketball. Then you saw it be we didn't get the big matchups until the
mhm,
Thanksgiving break or the feast week. We got
mhm.
some interesting games here this week.
Yeah.
Kansas, North Carolina.
Hmm.
Kansas held on there, came back. They were down big. Came back and won that one. That was a interesting game Friday night. There's been some interesting upsets as well. But usually there are some. Then North Florida keeps beating Power Four teams. I've
Yeah.
seen her name like two or three times on upset, so that's interesting.
Yeah. Crazy this early in the year. Yeah. Yeah, but college hoops, man, it's back in full.
Yeah,
You mentioned, the
definitely.
Auburn upset over Houston at home. Um, another kind of weird Duke coach. The I'm forgetting everybody's first name. John. That's it. John Shire.
Yeah,
He's kind of questioning. He's not happy. Cooper Flag has some cramping issues, and he says he wants answers. So that's kind of
yeah,
weird.
that's
Something interesting to watch
right.
there. But yeah, you mentioned there a lot of a good early season slate schedule this year for
Really
college
is.
hoops. Yeah.
And we saw that Friday. I mean, we'll see that. We saw that Saturday, even though it was big car football Saturday. So I didn't really watch the
Hmm.
game, but just keep my eye on the square with that. Or the Auburn
Hmm.
Houston game, of course, the top 25 teams. Of course, we have the normal one this on Tuesday night, and with the four teams that are always involved with that: Michigan State, Duke, and
Oh yeah,
Kentucky, Kansas.
the
They
the
always play
coaches
that.
classic challenge, whatever champions, whatever they call it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. At some point, you would hope that I would like them to see switch of some of the teams around.
Yeah, and
I
it'd be
don't know.
nice to get a couple because they don't do the. Do they still do? I don't think they do the preseason NIT anymore, do they?
I don't think
Um,
so.
that used to be a nice one in kind of the vein of like the Maui
Yeah. Yeah.
Invitational and those tournaments where they have the big. You get your one or two blue blood big names every year,
Right.
but you get some other teams a shot to
Yeah.
showcase themselves too. I
Yeah.
remember when we were in school. I think it was the NIT. I just know it was in Madison Square Garden. We played Oklahoma in a big matchup.
Yeah.
Uh, so Yeah, elsewhere in the sports world, Major League Baseball free agency hasn't quite kicked off yet, but big news: a Japanese 23-year-old pitching sensation, Roki Sasaki, is coming to the states to play Major League Baseball. So that really that's a big that should ripple
Yeah,
shockwaves through the free agency
for sure.
now, because that's a huge arm on the market now that nobody thought would be on the market for this
And I
season.
said I saw something. I didn't really read into it, but they may not be needing that much money to come.
Yeah, yeah, he might take some lower money,
Mm,
a more affordable contract would open it up to more teams. So, but
that's
that's
interesting.
yeah, definitely kind of a big there. And then your Yankees announced they did pick up the option on Aaron Boone. He will be back again next season.
Oh
So,
boy, yeah.
yeah,
Let's see how that. Yeah,
it'd be his 8th season in the
yeah.
pinstripes. I think, yeah, obviously, I think the big thing for y'all is got to resign Soto. Got to find a way to keep him
You
in the
got to,
Bronx.
because everybody's on. Everybody is jumping in that race. My
But say,
goodness.
yeah, there's some. I'm even seeing articles. It's like, what are the Braves' chances? I'm like, that's not going to happen. I'd
All
fucking
right.
love it, but you
Yeah.
imagine him and Acuna in the same lineup? That's insane. But
Oh wow.
not going to happen.
No.
Now maybe this pitching guy. Hey, let's go after him.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, anything else sports world you want to touch on?
It'll be interesting. We have the playoff show on Tuesday night in between
Hmm.
those basketball games. I feel like the most disrespected team was, we were saying it'd be interesting what what they do with Indiana and SMU, but man, the fact that they had the undefeated Army team at like 25, I
25th,
was like,
yeah,
yikes,
and
yikes.
and that is this is absolutely why I hate that they do the weekly rankings, because it already puts them at a disadvantage, and they have
Right.
to. It
They
makes it feel
basically
like they
have
have to
to,
do extra work, and it just shouldn't
yeah,
be that way.
yeah.
Uh,
They basically have, you feel like your Army, the only way they get in is if they run the table and beat Notre Dame.
yeah, and it's ridiculous that they just don't
Yeah.
do it more like basketball, where they just like at the end of the
Right.
season, they have,
Yeah.
hey, these are the teams we picked for the field,
Yeah,
and
exactly.
like
I mean, it
these
should,
these are
yeah.
our requirements, our
Right.
criteria for what we look at. And ESPN
Exactly.
could still do their show every Tuesday. They could hype it up, and I think
And
that's
just
what
have the
annoys me
talking
most about
heads
it.
talk.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think that's what annoys me most is that this was obviously a thing. ESPN behind the scenes was like, hey, you guys need to do these rankings every week to give us our show, but.
Yeah, it gives lots. It gives
Mhm.
people to talk about. But yeah, but it definitely does a disadvantage to those that aren't in the power. If you're not
Mhm.
the SEC or a Big Ten team, you really got no love in the in the thing.
No, yeah, the we well, I guess we can real quick. The initial rankings this week were Oregon, Ohio State, Georgia, Miami, Texas, Penn State, Tennessee, Indiana, BYU. Notre Dame was your top 10. Alabama sitting there at 11th. Boise State, SMU, Texas A&M, LSU finished out your top 15. And then just some other notes. You had Ole Miss at 16, Colorado at 20.
We'll be interested to see how much there's going to be so much change this week. It's going to be
Yeah, I
wild.
imagine there'll be a lot of change. Like you mentioned, the Army, or a team like Washington State's having a great year, one loss
Yeah,
to,
they're
that
getting
great Boise's no love. And
no
yeah,
love,
uh,
no excitement, and it's tough. They would have to
yeah.
have,
But
yeah,
I think that, what we'll look for this week is how far do Georgia and Miami drop?
right,
Uh, do Indiana
yeah,
and BYU, who are eighth and ninth, do they get a little more love?
all right,
Because to me, I think they got to be ahead of at least Penn State and Tennessee, and maybe even Texas. I don't know.
yeah,
They're unbeaten. You
right.
have
They
to.
are unbeaten,
Yeah.
but
Oh
the oh,
man, this guy.
for the win!
Oh man,
Wow,
Bates. Detroit gets the win despite all
wow,
the turnovers, and he skinned the other goalpost this time.
jeez.
Oof.
Yeah, but that's a good win, though. Despite all the turnovers, you go into Houston against a
Hmm.
good Texans team and you find a way to win the game.
Yeah,
This
that's huge.
Detroit team is serious.
That's huge for Detroit. That keeps them first in the NFC too. The
Wow,
race for home field in that bye.
wow,
But yeah,
a hell
that
of
just to finish up on that college rankings note. Yeah, it's how I think this week. How far did Georgia, Miami drop? How far does
right,
Alabama get a bump because of the win over
right,
LSU?
yeah.
Um, yeah, and then you look at a team. Yeah, Boise survived. Did they get hurt for such a close
Yeah.
game?
Same with
SMU.
Indiana. You wonder, like,
Yeah.
are they hurt at all? Yeah, they're undefeated, but I think a lot of people thought they were going to house Michigan.
Yeah.
And the sad thing with them is they're just living off the name of Indiana. Any other Big Ten team, like I wrote
Ah,
an article, man,
mhm,
any other Big Ten team, Penn State, Michigan, Ohio State, they're number two in the country.
mhm,
No doubt about it. It doesn't matter. And Michigan's played cake schedules.
mhm,
Ohio State's played plenty of cake schedules. You can't just say, "Oh, they
mhm,
haven't played anybody." Man, it's so many years where the only time Michigan and Ohio State played anybody was when they played each other, and this is
mhm.
recently. And there's no way you can't tell me that they were where Indiana is right now, that they're not number two in the country. If not, obviously Oregon's undefeated as well, but no worse than two for those type of teams, even if they had played a bad schedule.
And yeah, and I mean, you can just look right now this year. I mean, obviously they lost this week, but Miami, they really haven't played anybody. They
No,
played
they
a couple of
haven't.
names. They played
But
Florida and Florida State, but they're not. That's not a good.
nobody good. Yeah, they
No,
haven't
yeah,
played anybody good. Their schedule is actually pretty atrocious. I mean,
hmm
you
but
look
they
at, I
were
mean,
number
they,
4. Yeah.
yeah, but that's because it's Miami. Miami
Hmm.
is a brand that's when they're on. But yeah, I mean, you look a down Florida team. I mean, Virginia Tech's a name, but I mean they're okay. But I mean nothing big. Yeah, I mean Cal, not a Louisville is a name, but they're not great. Florida State's terrible this year. That's a name. Yeah,
Hmm.
but I mean now you end the season with Wake and Syracuse. I mean they should win those. You would think would win both those games, but who knows? But yeah, I mean probably shouldn't be four other than the Miami.
Yeah.
But
Uh,
hey,
so yeah, we'll see. Yeah, interesting to see what happens this week with that.
yeah.
All right. What's been done up real good for you this week?
Oh man, I might have to go with that Alabama win. I mean,
Yeah.
it's always good to beat LSU, especially on the road in that environment and all the hype that that place gets. But the fashion that we did it, I mean, we pretty much made them quit. And you look
Hmm.
at that crowd at the end of the game, it's nothing but crimson in the stands. Everybody else has
Hmm.
left the building. You hear the crowd going. You would think it's almost like if you were just listening to the audio, one looking at your TV, you would have thought maybe Alabama was a home game. The way they were yelling at the end of the game,
Hmm.
and I mean, and didn't you hear Rammer Jammer loud as hell in the stadium? I mean, it doesn't get better than that. How
Nah,
about you?
yeah. No, I'll agree. Yeah, I'll agree. I'll go with that. Especially game day in town.
Yeah,
Livy Dunn, the guest picker, talking a little shit at Nick Saban.
yeah.
It's always nice to throw it back in their faces.
Oh, absolutely,
So yeah, and like I said, it was
absolutely.
good to see Jalen Milrow look full strength again. It was good to
Yeah.
see the uh, the staff commit to the run game and
Yeah.
really just exploit the
They
weakness of the
knew,
LSU
yeah.
defense. Yeah.
I mean that was what I really liked. I mean, you know, we knew what would beat LSU. They had 2 weeks to get it right, and they did it.
Mhm.
They had the, obviously everybody knows what can beat a team, but they don't go with it. But this staff knew, hey, we have to do it. And also good, seeing Kalen DeBoer win a big road game. I mean, of course, we lost to Tennessee, we lost to Vandy. I mean, this was their third bigger road game, and handle business. A effort this week. Now it's just a matter of keeping it cool, not believing the newspaper and the clippings, and of course, this week doesn't. This is just a filler game, but just ending the season strong.
Yeah, it's yeah. Hey, college football, man. There's nothing like it.
You know,
But
spin
yeah,
that pick. and we're still gonna see a lot of epic stuff. I mean, we still
Mm-hmm.
have three weeks, 3 to 4 weeks of the regular season there. I mean, it's just gonna be an epic end of November.
Yeah, it's gonna be crazy. Thanks again, folks, for listening. As always, subscribe, give us likes and ratings wherever you listen to your podcast. Do suggest us to your friends, please. Check us
Absolutely.
out on all our social medias. We're still on Twitter hanging around because why not? I'm going to fight to the end. Uh, Blue Sky Threads. I know there's a mass migration to Blue Sky this week, I saw, so maybe that'll
That's
pick up some
all.
more
Yeah, I
steam.
saw Blue
Yeah.
Sky and Threads have started getting a
Yeah.
lot of people.
A
So
lot more
yeah,
users, yeah. Of
yeah.
course, we got our Instagram as well. Check us out on the alabamatake.com. You can find our podcast there. You can find all of our weekly columns there. As always, we have the weekly coverage of the challenge with Blaine and myself. We have our weekly take and bets column, which, like I said, it was an ugly week for all four
Oof,
of us. I think Mallory was the only one that went 2-2, and that was the best of the week.
that was a
So,
hell of a job. Hell of a job.
yeah, right. That's about all you can
Oh
ask now.
man, yeah.
The chances of me and you getting back to 500 this year
That
slowly
is
slipping
that
away.
slowly going away quickly.
We're going to have to do that thing where we pick every conference championship game again. I'm going to have to go
Yeah.
11-0 or whatever.
Oh yeah, absolutely. 'Cause, yeah,
uh,
we're in the weeds,
it's
in the
rough.
back. Yeah.
It's rough, folks. As always, y'all, thank you again. Keep it done up real good yourselves out there. Greg, buddy, roll tide.
Roll Tide.